live. We're here. Where is everybody? It's just the two of us.
Wow, we just got little comments that just popped in.
Yeah. Hello, everyone.
I didn't see.
They're saying hello. They're not saying hello to us. They're saying hello to each other. They're like, this is a means to saying hello to everybody else. They don't want to see the two of us. They're like, where's Sam and where's Jen? We'll just keep talking to them.
Well, it looks like Lewis and Val are warming up the crowd for us, so we appreciate that for sure.
The heads are extra big tonight. Well,
in more ways than one.
We got the two egos in the house. So.
That's right. Boys, we're back in town.
So we should immediately come out of the gate and say that Jen is going to maybe make an appearance via Podbean. She has some tropical storm issues. The power has been out since this afternoon. She will not even appear on Theme Park Thursday with Dillo's Diz this week, as I had a fill-in co-host earlier this evening by the name of Justin Monorail.
That's a risky proposal right there.
So Justin, for the first time, is experiencing the Dillo's Diz double dip that we usually do on Tuesday nights, where we record the podcast before coming on here.
It's true, and I got to tell you, I thought maybe being in your shoes, I don't know, tonight may be a special, a little different, I don't know, but doing the back-to-back shows, I always felt like maybe coming into the live show, you had spent all your energy, and maybe there'd be a dip, and you had to build back up to it. But I right now, I'm amped up still.
Yeah, it was a high. It was a high for this week for sure.
Okay.
I noticed that last week we did the Regis tribute episode recording prior, so we were like sad and solemn. So I was a little more sunken in when I came into here last week.
You were sleepy.
And now, I mean, is it too early to plug the podcast? I mean, should we lead in with what we recorded because it's part of what we should discuss this week? Or
we'll wait till we officially start.
Official. Yeah. Anyway, Jen's power is out. She's not here. You got a minute and a half. Let's go.
Minute and a half.
Let's go. That's how much time I gave Justin to get ready to record Theme Park Thursday this week.
That's true. And I don't know if you've ever felt the anxiety of like realizing, oh my gosh, I've got a test today and I didn't study for it. Or just that feeling of I'm about to go give a presentation and I didn't prepare anything. Those were the sorts of feelings that I was having when I got the text. Frank just says, hey, you want to guest co-host the Theme Park Thursday with Dillo's Diz? And I'm like, oh, yeah, sure. But if you all have been listening to Theme Park Thursday with Dillo's Diz, you know that they have had an all-star lineup of guests that they've been interviewing. And I was thinking, I don't know what I'm about to get into. I am so unprepared. So it was a cram session for about an hour and a half. To try to get myself ready. And then my contribution to the show was to sit there and smile and laugh and enjoy Frank's great interview skills. Yeah, it went well.
It was. We'll tease the episode officially here in a little bit since it's one of our topics this week for sure. So Jen is out with no power. Maybe we'll get some kind of appearance later. I can't promise anything because I don't want anyone's expectations to be raised by a possible Jen appearance. And Sam had some work to do tonight. It's a busy time for, she's got not only work, but doing her master's program. And also, she's also been doing this. It's like a 2-week challenge with her current. She's in some sort of a fitness group, virtual fitness group, and just making me feel super lazy because not only am I not doing a master's program, I'm also not exercising every night like she is. So she got a lot going on, and so she has the night off tonight. We decided it was going to be a boys' takeover. It's time for the men to step out in the forefront. I mean, right? Something like that. And so just so we're clear, McKenna has already said goodnight before we went live. So you're not even getting McKenna tonight.
He did. Yeah. McKenna won't even make an appearance. Garrett might, considering it's guys' night. Jeff, that's very kind of you to suggest that I can ad lib on the spot. Look, I mean, I do my best to tap dance, and I'm no Fred Astaire. So, but I think too, Frank is a great interviewer. What? My mom's speaking alien in the comments. But Frank is a great interviewer, and he raises the game, right? It's like when you're around somebody who's just like on fire, whether it's golf, basketball, baseball, whatever it is, it can be contagious, right? So maybe that elevated my performance on Theme Park Thursday. Just the proximity to Frank.
We're gonna let everyone be the judge of that on Thursday for sure. Yeah, it was an experience of like the improviser's guy in general, because even for me, I'm like, going, all right, what's Jen going to talk about? What am I going to talk about? And then I'm like, hey, Justin, you're going to be the host. And I'm like, what is anyone talking about? We don't know. How's it going?
Yeah.
No, I did not get them all riled up. I would say excitement was probably a big part of it for sure. You can, and you'll hear me at the beginning of the episode. My octave was like, I feel like much higher.
I agree.
At the beginning of the episode, I was really excited. So Jeff, this week's topic: Animal Kingdom Safari replaced by Muppets. Well, you're not entirely.
Okay, I think we're 6 minutes in.
Yeah,
I think we can officially start. We've done enough pre-show. Let's just do it. Let's get into it.
It's you.
Okay,
this week. I did it last week.
Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Parks. Forgot the name of the show. The Parks and Monorail's most magical hour. Live. I am Justin Monorail from the Monday Morning Monorail Podcast, and he is Frank Cardillo from Theme Park Thursday with Dillo's Diz. We are Disney podcast hosts. We're a couple of nerds, and we're here to just chat up Disney or whatever else you guys want to get into tonight. We're always hashtag waiting for Adam. Mm-hmm. Adam is in the Podbean. So Adam, I'm just going to tell you, just based on this show is going to be all over the place. Feel free to call in whenever you'd like. Yep. Whenever you feel inspired, jump in here. But yes, why don't we start off and just talk about what we just did and tease what's coming up on Theme Park Thursday with Dillo's Diz.
So based on, did I just go wonky with the sound, or am I okay?
You're good.
Okay. Based on Muppets Now debuting on Friday on Disney Plus, we Jen and I wanted to see if we could get someone within the grand scheme of the Muppets to guest on the show and just talk about their life with the Muppets and maybe a little insight into Muppets Now. And we were delighted, shocked as always, pleased to have Craig Shemin agree to appear on the show. He is the author of the Muppets Character Encyclopedia. He is the president of the Jim Henson Legacy, which helps curate what you see in the Smithsonian or the Center of the Puppetry Arts or the Museum of the Moving Image, which is in my backyard in Queens, New York. I don't know if you know I'm from New York, but I am. And so Justin and I got to talk with Craig for an hour. He spent 14 years with the Henson Company, and now is a writer. Did 12 episodes of Clifford the Big Red Dog. Most recently, he's writing a new book about Sam and Friends that he'll talk about on Theme Park Thursday. So we were able to a little bit of a deep dive, I would say, on the Muppets. So a lot to cover. So we could have spent a good 4 hours talking to him for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, we skimmed the surface, but I mean, guys, there's stuff that we talked about that's going to blow your mind, especially if you are a Muppets fan and you have always dreamed about what could be in the parks. It's going to excite you, but also maybe break your heart to hear about some of the things that have been discussed. And man, I don't think we should spoil any of that, because I think that was absolute gold for the podcast.
Yeah.
So go on. You will see Theme Park Rob. You got to listen to Theme Park Thursday, because oh my gosh, and you're all going to be going, what? At the time, while Craig was talking about it, I pretty much was covering my head and just like, why did we not get this? But
and a lot of it makes sense, especially considering what the other big news story earlier today, which involves the financial, economic element of it. The Muppets, as much as we love those characters, they deserve to be a spectacle, and sometimes a spectacle equals money. And I think that's as evidenced by today's quarterly report, which we'll get into in a little bit. That is definitely a lot to go into. But yeah, definitely check out Theme Park Thursday with Greg Shemin Thursday morning.
Absolutely. Before we get too far into any of the rest of our Disney topics, do you want to talk about the Broadway Cares virtual run?
Oh, do I want to do that first? I'll do that last. Oh, yeah, do more people here? Do that last.
All right.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, let's talk about Muppets now. Let's just talk about Muppets now first. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good to me. It looks like Lewis was not impressed. I saw a lot of criticism on whether it be Twitter or Instagram or whatever. I don't know. The socials, right? We see people voicing their opinions about what they thought about Muppets Now. It's funny, Frank, when we were talking about this with Nate leading up to it, and we talked about potentially doing like a virtual watch party and all this sort of thing. And you said, well, I think it's just going to be like 10 minutes. I thought when it was released that we were only getting like a 2-minute segment or like 10 2-minute segments or and then what we end up getting is this 22-minute show, with all of these little right, Skipper Bob criticism on Twitter. Who would have thought? We always come together and agree with such a positive vibe on Twitter. Yeah, we do. We lift up creative and artistic projects. But we end up getting this 22-minute show with all these pieced together segments, and I saw people compare it to a dumpster fire. Well, and I'll be honest. When I saw people saying that kind of stuff, it shocked me because I didn't view it that way at all. In fact, I watched it and I had a smile across my face the whole time I watched it. I loved it. Like there were moments of that, and I've watched it 3 times now. I've watched it back 2 more times after I watched it the first time. And there were moments of that I was like, this is absolutely capturing exactly what I want from the Muppets, which is this just these shorts, bring in a guest star and just kind of play off of them. It's elements of the old Muppet show. It's just little pieces of comedy that, like, sure, there's no through line. I didn't need a through line. I wasn't looking for that. But I was like, it felt to me like, and I said this in the podcast, you'll hear me say this on Thursday. It felt to me like a duct taped together, like last minute rush project, which is the Muppets. That's what they do, and so it's like it's just, we barely make it across the finish line and here's what we have.
Right.
So I enjoyed it. I'll tell you that my first viewing, and Frank, I'll shut up and let you talk in a second. My first viewing, the Swedish Chef segment, I had tears in my eyes. I don't know why, but it like hit me so just right in the right way. And I was laughing so hard. Subsequently, I've found little things to love about the rest of the segments as well. But I mean, I personally, and I'm not just trying to be like super positive dude. Like I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. We talk about this on Thursday too. Just keep talking about our conversation on Thursday. But we have high expectations for the Muppets. It's extraordinary characters, and we do it with Star Wars. We do it with Disney. We do it with a lot of these extraordinary, larger than life, character driven series, television, movies, what have you. And so we expect a lot from the Muppets. And I know that I have personally struggled since Jim Henson passed away with Kermit. Like, I didn't realize how invested I was with Kermit the Frog when I was a child, that I've never been able to recover from that. And I know a lot of people going crazy about the switch with Kermit again. And, to me, I thought the photobombing segment was great. One, it had Sam Eagle, so it's always a win for me with Sam Eagle. And, I hopefully it's not spoilers for anyone, but that segment was great. And, because it was just it was a premise. It had a punch. It had it raised the stakes, I'm the improviser here. So I like when I see my stakes get risen over a sketch or any kind of comedy, but also, yeah, it does feel like that duct tape, but I want everyone like to just maybe even in the comments, if you're here now, in the comments section, a pilot of a TV show that was just as good as the rest of the series. Like, watch the first episode of Seinfeld, the first episode of Friends. It doesn't feel the first episode of The Sopranos, for God's sake. The tone, the vibe is different always with the first episode of anything. And maybe it's a little different now when you're creating kind of a binge-worthy show. Maybe not with what's the show I was just going to think of? Never mind. But
Tiger King.
But like The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, the tone felt the same to me the whole time, but I think that there's a different way of structuring that now. And but in terms of series television, it's never been like that.
I'm sorry. This comment from my mom, was pretty classic.
Go ahead, read it.
Apparently, she dated a boy named Kermit, and her brother threw frogs on him. Seems appropriate. She grew up in Tennessee, so
yeah. Skipper Bob's talking about that. Kermit has changed a few times when Brian Henson voiced for a special. That's when Jim's death really hit me. Yeah, the end of that special. I don't know if I've really ever seen the very end of that special, because I feel like anytime there's Kermit, like I'm like, I can't watch anymore. Just turn it off. And that's but I think it has promise. I think, I've said it about the ABC series that everyone hated at the end. They started implementing the smaller, almost like scenes of the series were turning into sketches almost. And I felt like there was some growth in the later episodes in that direction. And that's the Muppets wheelhouse. So I think people have to give it a chance and build on it from there, because we just need to see the characters reestablished first, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too. And they'll figure it out. I mean, I guess all of this is the production's done for what we're going to get from Muppets now at this point. And we'll see if kind of the tone changes as it goes, or maybe they somewhat hit their stride, maybe in episode 2 or 3. But I don't know. I just now I was a person who I didn't love the Muppets ABC show,
right.
And I definitely have given it a chance. I haven't watched it all the way through to the end. I've watched most. How many seasons were there? 3?
There was just of the ABC. No, there was 1.
Just 1?
I think because they pieced it out. It was like 6 episodes here, then you got more. Yeah.
Okay, so I've made it. I'm going to say 2/3 of the way through a couple of times, and there are things that I like about it, but there's things that I don't, because I really feel like there are elements of that show where I feel like they're not being true to the characters, personally, and that's me being critical and saying,
mm-hmm. Sure, no, definitely, yeah.
But then I watched this show, this sketch show, where they're just getting to have fun and play with the characters and do random. There doesn't have to be a through line. There's not a story. It's just random stuff. And I'm like, this is where I feel like the Muppets really shine.
Hey, Jocelyn. Hey, Steph.
Like, so, anyways, I'm very.
Yeah. And Lewis mentions that it was presented as unscripted prior to the release, and there were elements that I think we throw around that term unscripted a little bit too much, ever since we're talking about the Christopher Guest movies or Curb Your Enthusiasm or anything like that. And we say, oh, those are unscripted because there are structures. And then, maybe they write in a couple of lines here and there. There's definitely elements of the show that were unscripted. Mm-hmm. But I would not say that. I would think that there were scene outlines. There were moments that they needed to hit. Maybe a line that they wanted to say. But even in the RuPaul segment, I felt like RuPaul definitely didn't know what Gonzo was going to come in with.
Right.
Like he's not prepared for the spiders, reference. Like, and again, no spoilers. But there's elements. So yeah, to say it's unscripted, but it's also a way of like trying to present that Muppets edge, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. So I don't know. I've got positive feelings about it, and I'm excited for the next one. And I hope that people do give it a chance, because this is the Muppets content that we have right now, guys. And if you want the Muppets to get more attention and get more funding, potentially for more production or more in-park appearances, we've got to make sure that Disney Plus is seeing our viewing numbers. So you got to do it.
Speaking of parks appearances, you appeared in a park over the weekend.
Yeah, we did. So we did. We went to the Magic Kingdom. If you happen to have listened to our show on Monday, I think that, after going to Magic Kingdom, EPCOT, Animal Kingdom the first time, we had a pretty positive story that we were telling of all those first three experiences in the parks. And one thing I was concerned about with this episode is I didn't want it to come across as us sounding like, oh, we'd been spoiled by those first three experiences, and now we just can't appreciate the fact that we're in the parks. I know there's a lot of people out there who would love, no matter, it could be double what the capacity is that we saw, and the people would love to be in the parks. Mm-hmm. And so I want to balance out the message by saying we also want to feel safe the entire time we're there. Mm-hmm. And there's a certain feeling multiple times on our most recent trip to the Magic Kingdom. This was Garrett and McKenna's first trip to the Magic Kingdom since it reopened, and we're much more sensitive to how they're feeling about what's the surroundings are and how close people are, if it's too tightly packed and that sort of thing. And Garrett actually, we were walking down Main Street and he shut down. He went into this mode where he was just overwhelmed by the amount of, he didn't expect there to be as many people as there were. And and as we started walking around, we realized, wait a minute, all these 5, 10, 20-minute waits that we got when we were here last time, they don't exist. Most things that we saw were 30 minutes plus on Saturday. And I know, again, this sounds like a spoiled person talking about, you're talking about these Space Mountains usually a 90-minute wait. What's the big deal about 30 or 40 minutes? Right. But there's some things to think about here. First of all, that's an indication of how much the capacity must have increased. Mm-hmm. But also it's an indication of when there's social distancing in the queues, most of those queues, if you've got a 30-minute wait, then, just multiply those people by 6 because, mm-hmm. or at least by 3, right? You're standing outside for most of those queues, and it was well over heat index 100 degrees in the sun. It was so hot. People, we saw way more people having meltdowns. We saw way more people, trying to pull the mask off, pull them down. So the compliance wasn't great. The distancing wasn't great when there weren't cast members around to direct it. So mm-hmm. the experience for us this time, just based on, if we're telling you, if you were to come to the parks now, what you could expect, it wasn't, I wouldn't recommend that to anybody.
Yeah.
If you're cool with going in the park, trying to keep distance from everybody and just find your space, maybe you don't ride much, maybe you ride, 1 or 2 things. We even had trouble. We went into Cosmic Rays and had lunch. We struggled to find a table in Cosmic Rays. We finally did get one, but so I know that this is because what they're doing now is they're reallocating the capacity that they had reserved for the hotel resort guests. They're allowing more APs to be, and the story is, it's mostly Floridians or people that are relatively local that can drive in that are coming to the park right now. And it was just vastly different, a vastly different experience. And actually somebody, Keenan, part of our World Podcast, Keenan tweeted at me. He retweeted something and tagged me in it that, and I wish I could give credit to the Twitter handle that did this, but they did a study on what the wait times have been, and they've increased 50% over the last 2 weeks. So, it's just,
that's a lot. Yeah. You saw a lot of people commenting about what is attributing to the greater number, if it's already letting more people, they've obviously shuffled how they're distributing people who can get into the park, as you mentioned, with the APs. But even on the business call earlier today with JPEG, he was saying that 50% of the people are local and 50% of the people are coming in from outside states. So again, I think it's maybe that's the number this week, but maybe 3 weeks ago it wasn't 50-50. Because if you're coming in from out of state, then you're waiting in the attraction lines. You're not just walking around enjoying the parks for a change. You want to get on the rides because you paid the money to go on the trip. So I don't, it's a interesting thing of the shift. Yeah. And Jocelyn was saying that she noticed that the waits were busier on Saturday. Stephers was saying that it's Saturday, so it's going to be busy. Yeah, it's the summer, but it's also, weekdays today are going to be less. But when did you go? Did you go on a Saturday, a Sunday, or a Sunday last time?
It was Saturday.
Yeah. So
yeah, the first trip was a Saturday.
Yeah,
and that was in June, so kids were out of school.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously there was a change. And right, I agree. Weekdays are going to be a little better, but it's still busier than it was consistently based on, like I'm saying, like the quoted, observed numbers.
Well, and a lot of schools in the South started school this week. I think I heard some of the Carolinas may have started schools this week. So maybe this weekend was like a last ditch. Let's go to Disney before school starts. I don't know. Maybe you'll see another downturn next week when more of these schools that start in August get back in business.
Yeah, it's possible. And Lewis is saying, I just want to walk around. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I guess we have EPCOT on Saturday. Sam's actually considering not going because she's doing this challenge, this 2-week challenge where she's on a diet. She can't eat the festival food. She can't have any alcohol. So she's like, why would I go to EPCOT if I can't do any of those things?
Yeah.
So she's considering staying home. I'm giving the kids the option, and we have every time anyway, because I don't want them to go and feel uncomfortable.
Right.
But I do feel like EPCOT and Animal Kingdom right now are maybe more attractive because you're not getting in line for rides all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot more things to do where you're not worried about standing in queues and waiting in the sun and all that sort of thing. So Animal Kingdom, it looks to me like it's still, the wait times have still been pretty manageable. We've got that week after this weekend. So next weekend. So we'll see what it's like then. But yeah, I do think that maybe now I don't know. But you're talking about Disney announced their second quarter.
Mm-hmm.
We call them earnings.
Well,
results, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they reported in the second quarter a loss of $4 billion.
Yeah.
$4 billion. Dr. Evil, $4 billion. So if you're Chapek and you're looking at those numbers, and the parks are, I mean, every piece of the company got hit because, like, they were talking about ESPN got hit really hard,
mm-hmm.
Of course.
Yeah.
Parks and Entertainment got hit really hard. But if you're looking at that and you're like, well, so far we haven't had some sort of like a story break where, everybody that went to Magic Kingdom last week now has the virus. Can we start to ease up the numbers a little bit because we got to
mm-hmm.
start making some money?
Yeah. No, and that's been definitely, I think, part of why you've seen it too, is because, you don't see, everyone went to this party or went to this, festive occasion or anything like that, and everyone got sick. You don't see that about Disney yet. But the money is definitely a factor. And unless 7 million people are going to pay $29.99 to watch Mulan on Disney Plus this September, I don't know where else they're going to, they said that, the revenue, they're starting to generate, some money on some days in the parks. Well, it's not every day, but I think it's going to be a work in progress. But I think, you talked about Universal doing all the layoffs. You're starting to see these stories at Disney about maybe certain things aren't going to be reopening, certain shows, etc. So what is going to be, the next phase here for the Disney parks?
It's uncharted territory. I mean, in the report that we read in the Wall Street Journal, was talking about how this is the first time Disney's posted a quarterly loss since 2001. Since 9/11, they haven't posted a court. And if you remember back in those days, there were a lot of projects that were on the table that totally got scrapped never to be heard of again. Because that was a time up until 2001. It was a time of pretty big growth in the parks, and then as soon as that happened, and this dip is more than that. As soon as that happened, a lot of stuff fell off the table. So I start thinking about, and by the way, Lewis, I'm not trying to dissuade you. So there's more capacity for locals. That's not true at all. I'm trying to just communicate the experience because I want it to be fair. Because I will say, I feel like we've been pretty rosy and positive with our first 3 visits. And yeah, exactly, Skipper Bob, Art of Animation, because the Legacy project got scrapped, right? So I'm not. This isn't me trying to dissuade. It's almost me trying to balance out the fact that I think we've been pretty positive about our first 3 visits, and I want to be truthful about our experience on Saturday. Like it was. But anyway,
I think he's working you up, Justin. Is what he's trying to do.
No surprise from Lewis here. But I do want to say that where I was going was when we thought about the plans that were coming for EPCOT. When does Harmonious even happen? Like what's happening with that? Like, we know that multi-tiered festival center that was going to be right on World Showcase Lagoon, that's probably gone. I don't think we're going to see that ever. We should probably be grateful that Ratatouille and Tron are as far along as they are, because those will get finished. But I don't think we're going to see any major development project for a couple of years. And it makes me wonder what the 50th anniversary in Magic Kingdom is going to be like, because you know that they had these huge plans for having all this stuff up and ready to go. And in fact, Reflections is another thing that's kind of like been thrown into question too. So
I think that they're probably reassessing and reimagining what these steps are going to be, and what it means, especially in terms of Skipper Bob's talking about Mary Poppins being shelved, in terms of long-term projects. And it's funny that you almost see it at the start of every decade, where 2001, maybe coming out of the recession in the economic, whatever you want to call it, in 2008. So around the 2010 mark, there wasn't really much going on. In 2001, you had to think in the early 1990s, Disney was having a hard time keeping Euro Disney afloat. And so a lot of things went away during that time too. So it almost feels cyclical that there's something that comes along at the beginning of each decade here that causes them to reassess and change gears. So I don't know if we'll see anything until the middle part of this decade, but at the same time, maybe it'll give them opportunity to touch up the things that have been falling apart lately. Imagination fountains. I just want that area to look prettier than it. I want to look as pretty as it used to. Just paint it a little more. That's all. There's a lot of comments. We need Jen desperately for the comments because they're flying.
Well, it's funny because we had concurrent conversations about the Pop Century expansion. One was going on in the Podbean and one was going on in the YouTube comments. That's
why 2 people can't do this. But Val's talking about how badly Spaceship Earth and Splash Mountain both desperately need refurbs, right? Splash Mountain is an interesting conversation for sure in terms of what happens here the next few years. I would put that conversation almost at the top of interesting creative projects for this decade. Spaceship Earth, I feel like they could tinker and they can do little things here and there along the way. I don't know if it doesn't need the massive overhaul that it was getting. It needs some love. So we'll see if that happens.
Should we talk for a minute about the fact that a Splash Mountain boat actually sank? Was that some sort of warning for what you're going to be announcing? I have a question for you, Frank, being a former cast member, and I know you didn't work attractions, but but I'm hoping that you have some insight on this. Splash Mountain needs at least one more boat. Yeah, that's true. But here's the thing. In the videos, because obviously people pulled out their phones as soon as that boat started going down. You've got guests stepped out of the boat and stood on the side, and then the cast member, you can hear them approach the guest and they say, "You should have stayed in the boat." What guest on the planet would have stayed in the boat? I don't understand Why would she say that to them? I get the safety thing, but why? It's not their fault the boat sank. I would get out too.
They got a lot of training going on lately with all the new changes that are happening. Attractions, maybe some of the logic is not, is not there.
That's not the first thing you say to somebody that just got out of a sinking boat.
Here's what I know, that, Justin, you talk a lot about how, maybe sometimes you skip over Splash Mountain because you don't like getting wet on attractions. And Splash Mountain's always a must for me. But the one thing that even when we get the Central Florida downpours, I cannot stand is when my shoes, especially when we're in sneakers, are saturated at Disney. Walking around, it is next level grossness. And that's all I can think about of watching. So if you stayed in the boat, the shoes involved. No. No.
Yeah, no, I know. And so, and in the Podbean, Long Island Frank said, I think it's safer to be soaking wet than to fall on the side of the attraction. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. If it started moving, yes, liability. I get it. I understand your logic. I understand why that would be the training. Why would you say that to guests that just got out of a sinking boat? They can't go back and change what they did. I mean, so you're telling them, and the next time you're in a boat that sinks to the bottom of a canal, please stay in the boat. Like, it's a worthless thing to say at that point. That's my only point.
Yeah, service is our superpower, Jeff. You're absolutely right. And I mean, I think that's the big thing. It's because, to me, you don't say the thing that other people are not going to be. The people in the boat do not know what's going to happen to them. Is their arm going to get caught in a mechanism? Is there some metallic thing that's going to stab them when if the boat goes beneath the gears of the ride? Nobody knows what's going to happen when the boat sinks. So the thing to do is I'm going to go stand where
there's dry lemon right there.
It's dry level. I'm going to go right there.
Yeah, Jeff, that's right. If you're wearing Crocs, you don't have to worry about it. Yeah. But if you're wearing Crocs with socks, you got to consider. Of course, you could ditch the socks.
And your mom mentioned sandals as well. And I definitely went sandals for a very long time at Disney. And I don't have nice toenails, so I have a problem with that. It really is.
Skipper Bob. If the boat on Pirates is going down, he stays in and starts singing. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's appropriate on Pirates.
I mean, I would think you have to stand and do the Captain Jack entrance, as he does in the first movie, where he's just coming in on the sinking ship.
Yeah, I don't know. I get the training. I get that, like, if they could make an announcement, please stay in the boat. I get all that stuff. My only thought was the air's already out of the balloon. There's no reason to make guests feel shame for what they did. It's just a matter of, hey, I'm sorry you were in a sinking boat. And Val said maybe she didn't see it, but in the video she saw it. She did. So anyway.
Yeah, you don't pile on in a bad situation.
Yeah. So anyways,
What's next to sink, God forbid. I mean, because on the Chapek watch we've had the Jungle Cruise and Splash at this point. I mean, you got Pirates, you got Small World, you got the yeah. I don't want to say anything bigger. So of the stuff that you can probably still stand in the water. What goes next? Jose Carioca is back.
Thank goodness.
Grand Fiestas.
Thank goodness he wasn't another COVID casualty, because I was somewhat. Oh man, theme park Rob. If the Liberty Bell started going down, so now that's an interesting question. But of course, you could climb to the higher levels, right? You should be okay, because how deep is that water?
It's not. I've seen it empty before. It's not terribly deep, but yeah. So if you're on top of the boat, I think you'd be okay.
You'd be fine. Yeah, but you probably couldn't social distance at that point.
No. I think Tom Sawyer Island is sinking next myself.
That's right. It could be. It's just, what a crazy year this has been for the parks, but in the world, it's just, I keep saying it, like it's going to be something like that. Somehow the carousel starts spinning backwards or something. I don't know. Does they have life jackets? I bet it does. I bet the Liberty Bell has life jackets.
Yeah, I think it does, because it has I think it does.
Yeah, they should do a muster before every circle, before every trip. You got to know where your lifeboats are, where your exit is, all that sort of thing. Let's talk for a second though about the Splash Mountain refurb, because they announced that they had been working on this for years, and this was a plan for a long time, which I don't necessarily buy. But they put some major players behind this refurb, and all indications are this wasn't just going to be let's swap out some scenes and do an overlay. This was going to be a major redo, like tear the whole thing out and redo it. But I mean, I hope that that's true. I hope they do it right. But now the question is, where's that money coming from?
Right. I mean, if you're asking me directly, I would say that because Ratatouille and Tron are already in progress, that I would say Splash Mountain, it was the only likely thing to happen in the next 5 years. So just because they put it out there, they know it won't be good PR if they pull back on it. And I think they got to move forward. So it'll be interesting to see. You had a fascinating conversation about on the podcast this week about Galaxy's Edge and and how people feel about it. I'm gonna say it drives me crazy that people are like, who's upset, similar to the Muppets thing, who's upset that it's not, it's not a known planet. It's, it's just accept what it is. And there's, to me, I think the finale, the last episode ever of The Mandalorian is going to take place on Batuu, and everyone will be fine.
Right.
But it like the idea of like, that's going to change over, because it didn't draw the crowds. It wasn't going to get, it's because Disney has trained us to stay away from big things sometimes. Mm-hmm. And especially with Star Wars, they were, I mean, you had to coax me into coming down on opening day. I was like, I'm not going near Disney for 6 months. No way. I'm not going near the parks because it's going to be nuts. And it wasn't. Yeah. So the idea of like, there's some kind of failure with Galaxy's Edge is it's mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, and I've heard the story spun in a way that basically it was a huge marketing botch on the part of Disney, because I think you're right. I think most people felt like it's going to be this way, and I'm just going to stay away. And yeah, I agreed, Theme Park Rog. Like when I heard that they said they got a 0% across the parks attendance increase, it's just like, you can understand why we just invested all this money on 2 coasts, mm-hmm. and we got a 0% increase. Like, heads are going to roll for that, right? Mm-hmm. So I like the choices that they made. Now, there were some things that, do I feel like there's some tweaks that could be made to be like, take it that next step and really like nail the immersion? Yeah, I think so. If you remember, we were told that your magic bands were going to allow you to actually interact with things in the land and you kind of use the force. Mm-hmm. What happened? Right. Like, where did that go?
Right.
And so I think little things like that, but I do feel concerned. I heard people say, this was like last year after it launched, people say, well, if it's a failure, it's just going to turn into Agrabah. It's just going to be Aladdin. I don't think that's true. I think it stays Star Wars, but I do think they start to get loosey goosey with the strictness of storytelling in that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think is what may happen.
I think it's just it probably was a little overhyped, and so therefore the high expectations were there. But I can't see how you can't see the value of that, but I think there's just so much to be considered in what causes a 0% increase. And I think a big part of it is you raised your ticket prices. The economy is, what it is. And people were scared off. Totally. Like you jacked the annual passes price. I was like, no, I'm not going to go there 3 times next year. Like, absolutely not. I mean, I had a shot to renew. I was looking at my expired in March of 2019. I was looking ahead to Galaxy's Edge and going, I'm not going to visit there that many times after Galaxy's Edge opened. So yeah, you lost my ticket and my Magic Band swipe for this many times because you jacked the prices on me. So I don't know how many people that's attributed to as well. just to jump on the comments, because Stuffers is talking about Mulan, and they said in that conference call today that this $30 one-time is a one-time, like it'll never. This is just a one-off. That Mulan is $30 additional on Disney Plus. You got to buy. First of all, you're lying to my face. Second, I'm gonna wait 2 years until it's free. Why do you think I'm gonna watch Mulan? I mean, I know there are people that are totally, but you're not winning me over, especially if I was single. Like if I was one person, I'm not watching.
Yeah. Now that's a good point. I was gonna ask you, were you interested in seeing Mulan like in the theater? Would you have gone?
I probably would have vetted it for the 4-year-old to see it, because she watched the movie a couple of times.
But would you have tried to do like a matinee, get those matinee prices, sneak in candy, and pay like $6
every time
out the door? Right.
I go to the Applebee's across the street, get the cheap movie tickets with my lunch, and then I go over.
Okay. So, I mean, our strategy is typically similar, but even so, we've got a family of 4, right? So we go to a matinee, and it's hard for me to tell the kids no about popcorn. Plus, I want movie popcorn. By the time we're out the door, even a matinee, we've spent upwards $50, right? So I like, even if you didn't get to keep it, I think what Disney is trying to find is that price point of, economic buoyancy, basically, to say, okay, well, there are families of 6 that are going to be able to watch this brand new movie that we just spent millions of dollars to make, for, $30, which is that's a huge deal. It's a deal for a family of 4. Yeah. Now, can you make that same argument for someone who's watching it by themselves?
Nope.
Probably not. Yep. So I almost feel like they ought to give you a movie ticket with it. Maybe 1 or 2, like give you 2 movie tickets. So when theaters open eventually, not to see Mulan, but just a future Disney movie or something.
Yeah, there needs to be some kind of other perk with that or something. I don't know. That's a good point. Just to bounce back again to the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge talk, which Jeff is mentioning. Where are the droids they talked about? That's to your point, Justin, with the things they were talking about. And Smuggler's Run is a poor experience overall, and that was the opening day attraction. So second point is a valid one, because they opened it early before Rise was ready. Like totally valid. But me, I was like, I don't care about the ride. Get me inside the Millennium Falcon on opening day was my goal, and that's all I needed.
Yeah, we were on the same wavelength there, but I do wonder if maybe that was one of the big missteps in making that decision to open it with only one of the 2 rides ready, because then people are like, well, I'm just going to wait. Yeah. And then people start hearing, oh, well, Smuggler's Run isn't that great. So, so that definitely could have impacted it. I'm the same way. I feel like Smuggler's Run, I just wanted to be in the Millennium Falcon. I wanted to be part of it. In subsequent rides of that ride, for me, it's like pilot or bust, unless I'm with a group of 6 or something, or at least a group of my friends, and get to have that fun shared experience.
Right.
Because Engineer Gunner is just not going to do it for me anymore. I want to be pulling the light speed.
Right. No, totally. Yeah, that's totally where it's at. I mean, I think just that first time was the only time I was co-pilot, first time with you, Justin. And then I don't think I've even done Gunner yet. I've ridden it like 8 or 9 times now, but I've only been in the back after in the engineer position.
It's okay, but
yeah, I mean, I still have the novelty of oh my god, I'm in the cockpit, so that's kind of where it's at for me, for sure. So yeah, and I do think, because I do think, look at how the rise of the experience, the rise of the Resistance, it was like every day you look at that crowd in front of outside the gate and go, oh my god, look at this is crazy. Every morning people are waiting for this. If that was the buzz for Galaxy's Edge opening with Rise, like if they had just waited to the holidays,
right? Oh, you're absolutely right. If that land had opened with Rise, and then those are the reactions that you're getting from people, like, oh my god, Rise is like a next level experience, which is what people say when they finally get to do it, if they ever get to do it. Then all of a sudden the whole narrative changes about what the land is. People aren't so upset because they're like, yeah, Smuggler's Run's all right, but Rise,
Yeah, so if you're going to point to the 0% increase and be mad about Galaxy's Edge, like, you can't be mad at what Galaxy's Edge is. You got to be mad at how it was handled.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. It was just a botched execution. And I don't know what lesson can be learned at this point. Will we ever see a expansion like this ever again, like a land with, multiple restaurants, 2 rides, I don't honestly, if I were Disney, I'm like, you're going to have to make an extremely good case for why I would ever invest that much money in something like that ever again.
And nothing is really out there right now to suggest that. Like there's nothing, that the Harry Potter thing was like such a get, because there was like, oh, this whole world needs to be tapped into in theme parks. But it's I don't know what else they could possibly do. I mean, I guess maybe where the Universal Epic situation is happening over there, it's a whole other factor.
Yeah, I know. And Val's saying she couldn't ride Smuggler's Run on her first visit because of her back injury, but she spent days in Batu playing games on the data pad. Just being in Galaxy's Edge was amazing. I agree. I'm with you, Val. Like, for me, I love it. There have been little moments that have just encapsulated the magic that land is to me. One of them being the way that Rey interacts with kids in the land is it brings tears to my eyes sometimes. Just even thinking about like some of the things that I've seen, some of the magic, the way that the kids light up, their whole thing changes because Rey, like they go on little missions together. They're doing, and just she spends so much time individually interacting with kids. It's beautiful. That is what the land is about, right? It's those sorts of things. For me, it was when Chewie picked me out of a crowd to participate in some sort of a ad lib game. I don't know what we were doing, but I was just like, what? Now I'm a kid again and I'm getting to play with Chewie. Like,
we'll post those pictures.
those little things that I feel like are what delivers in Galaxy's Edge, but also Ronto Raps.
Totally Ronto Raps. Skipper Bob mentions make a Jedi show where we meet Force Ghosts of legendary Jedi, which I love that idea. I don't know. I don't remember where it was or what, but we talk about what other. Oh, I think it was a Q&A we did on Theme Park Thursday where it was asked like what other attractions would you like to see in Galaxy's Edge, and it's hard. It's hard because it's like, well, you're gonna be flying or you're gonna ground assault. Like, so a ride is hard. But somehow they got to find a way to incorporate, again, the Rise of the Resistance technology and like something like what Skipper Bob is saying. I would love to see how that could be imagineered into a ride. Yeah. Like what is, a balance of the Force. No, Jocelyn, don't go yet because we gotta talk about the virtual run. I'm gonna talk about the virtual run right now.
Why don't we go right into it?
Okay. So some of you may know, some of you have seen it on Twitter or Instagram, but we named a Broadway run, virtual run 5K after this show. So we've called it the Parks and Monorails Most Magical Virtual Run Team. The title is not long at all. So we've asked a bunch of people to join the team. Jocelyn has joined. Hyperion Adventures Podcast has joined. Lewis has joined. Duos joined, and of course the two podcasts here represented here right now are part of the team. The charity you're running for virtually is Broadway Cares, Equity Fights AIDS. They've been doing a lot over the last 4 months in terms of raising money to not only support people with all sorts of medical needs, but including COVID-19. So it's all encompassing with health issues. It extends beyond AIDS. And the virtual 5K is an annual event. It wasn't virtual before. It's been run before, but everyone was able to join for the first time last year. So I'm thinking that we're going to turn it into a little competition here between whoever else joins the team. I'm thinking maybe there'll be a champion of like the Parks and Monorails virtual run team champion named after this. Maybe there'll be a belt of some kind. I don't know. I'm just brainstorming, blue skying right here. But we're looking for more people to join. You can DM at DelosDiz on the Twitter or the Instagram, and I'll give you the link for details. I think we're going to try to do, it's basically 2 weeks to raise money. We're not asking you to raise a lot of money, $100 each. We have $1,000 team goal combined. But again, the team that raises the most, maybe they get named the champion of the Parks and Monorails Most Magical Virtual Run Team. So DM at DelosDiz. if you want details, and we'll try to do something here in the next 2 weeks to all get together and have a little bit of a virtual run meetup. On the 22nd and 23rd is the actual virtual run. Do you have a park pass that day, Justin? I'm asking you for the first time here on the Parks and Monorails on the 22nd or the 23rd of August.
Yes, actually, 22nd. Let me look. Oh no, not yet, not yet. But that day, I think I can get Epcot, which would be appropriate. I can do a 5K.
Which would be a total of 5K around the world showcase. I don't know. Maybe that we can try to incorporate that if we all get together at the same time, and because you don't have to run, you can walk.
Well,
you can
Long Island Frank is asking if I'll wear my Mickey onesie, and look, if it's going to be in the park, I'm not doing it because even though I got a very large size of that onesie, it's somewhat revealing in terms of the way that it fits on me. And I don't think that's allowed in the parks. Okay. So no one wants to see that. But if it's around my neighborhood, maybe, and the neighbors have to deal with it. But yeah, maybe I can do Epcot.
So that's something I just said out loud for the first time here in a public forum. But things that I am thinking about ahead of time, just kind of recruiting this week and then really getting the ball rolling for the 2 weeks after that. It's August 22nd and 23rd. Walking is allowed, as Lewis said. He also says you're lame for not wearing your onesie. But if we can add the monorail family walking around the parks on that day, that could be an interesting thing. So DM at Dillo's Diz for the Parks and Monorails most magical virtual run team now through August 22nd and 23rd. Thanks.
Ta-da! Very good. So join the team, and we're not going to be running it. I'll tell you.
No.
We're not runners. That's one thing. Tom and Michelle always do. Like they do a lot of the Run Disney stuff, and they've done like virtual running events, and we've disappointed them multiple times. Because I'm like, I'm sorry, monorails are not runners. We're happy to cheer from the sidelines, but yeah.
Cool. Well, without Jen and Sam, I feel like we're 4 minutes short here. So I think if we do the plugs, we will actually make it a most magical hour.
End on time. Oh, Adam is calling.
Oh, Adam. Oh, God. We hashtag waiting for Adam.
Here he is.
Adam. Very good.
Adam, I invited you an hour ago to call in the show. What's going on here?
You guys think you limiting it to an hour, huh?
Yeah, we're trying.
You're getting started.
What's up, man? How's it going?
Testosterone Tuesday.
It is. That's men have had it rough in this country for a really long time. I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. That's a joke, everyone. That is a joke. I'm backing away from it right now. I apologize.
Adam, over to you.
They sort of cut it a little bit, from you guys. It's nice.
Are you saying that they like level out the energy?
Yeah.
It's a little. The energy's a little up. We had a good interview for Theme Park Thursday here before we get started. We're a little high.
We're amped. And by the way, he just followed me on Twitter.
Oh, nice.
I like the Muppets, the new Muppets.
Good.
I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah. Why would you?
It's more Muppets is good. Yeah, the Kermit voice is a little weird, but what are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
We'll get used to it.
And I think it's obvious that they had to film some of this during quarantine, which I think is why we have that Zoom sort of setup.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, at least they kept doing it. They could have stopped.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like so many things could have been canceled.
Yeah.
But we got it, and I'm grateful.
Mm-hmm.
Steffers hasn't watched it yet. Adam, tell her she needs to watch it.
She should watch it. I told her to watch it a couple days ago. I said, "What are you doing? Watch it."
Steffers, come on.
I don't know, working or something. I don't remember.
That's lame.
Well, she's got the news. She's got the side hustle now. Steffers, plug it on the comments so we can talk about it.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, we were supposed to talk about the plugs.
This is what we
would remember. I ordered some stickers from her, waiting for them to come in.
Very good. What kind of stickers can we find at the Steffers sticker Etsy store, Adam?
I ordered a Stitch sticker. I think it's like 2 inches by 2 inches. Yeah, and then and then she's got princesses that are in the shape of Mickey ears.
Okay.
So, if you remember the old Vinylmations, how it was Mickey's head, but the design was something else. It's the same kind of concept, but it's just the head, not the whole body.
I love it.
Yeah, it's
There it is. There it is. Frozen Reflections Design Company. Steffers comes in just as I find it on Twitter.
Frozen Reflections Design Company, and she said Mickey head balloons, Adam, is what they are.
Oh, is that what they are? I didn't realize that. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be talking about her store, but I did order them, and they'll be coming in soon. So
no, we asked you to, and
Yeah,
actually, Steffers asked you to plug it. So,
oh,
and now she's telling you good night, Adam.
well, good night.
Adam, well, we need the customer experience. So we're looking forward to hearing when they're delivered to you. Here,
I will post it. I just have a quick question for Frank. How were you guys with the hurricane that came through?
well, that is why Jen is not available. She was down on Long Island and had her power taken out for maybe 2 days. So the rain was heavy here, but we did not have the winds or anything like that, which is why I was able to record Theme Park Thursday tonight with Justin as the co-host. More plugs to come.
Oh, I didn't get to do Jen's sign off.
He didn't get to. That's all right. It's hard to do the sign off with the guests.
Yeah.
It's going to have universal ones. So Justin, you have to get some universal ones for Sam.
And Studio Ghibli, which we're down for that. Totoro, Kiki, any of those. Al's Moving Castle.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh man, you're missing out on some good stuff. Are you open to the Ghibli films? Do you know what those are?
No.
I think your daughter would love them.
Yeah, all right. I'll check it out. I'll need to be educated as such. Right now, there was the second season of Bluey was issued like a week ago. So now I'm in the cycle of the new season of Bluey.
Okay. Gotcha.
And I'm just going to say, no one listening to this is going to watch Bluey, and I understand that. But there's a fantastic one, maybe called Sleepwalkers. It's all dream episode. It's super trippy and right in my wheelhouse.
Yeah. Sounds a little scary.
But all right, Adam. Adam, what's going on the Mouse and More this week?
Well, we just had a show go out today. Oh crap! What was it? And I did it too. We talked about things that have changed in the parks, how the fast passes, dining, and all that stuff. What's different now versus the last time you were there, as you remember it. And not sure if we're doing a show for Thursday.
You always say that, but you know you will.
Yeah, I know. We try. We have. There's something going on. I don't want to get into it.
All right. No worries. No worries.
Right. We're trying to figure things out. But I lost power for 7 seconds today.
Oh.
And but I did tweet some pictures if you guys are interested. Our neighbor, a tree fell and landed on some power lines and snapped the power line in half.
Whoa.
So now we've got wires hanging over the road, which is always fun, but the electricity is still flowing through. So that's good.
Great.
It's raining again. I didn't know it was going to rain again. But this afternoon was a little scary. I was a little scared, to be quite honest.
It looked like you guys were getting some scary warnings up there.
It didn't stop you from calling in, though, Adam, and that's the important thing.
Mm-hmm.
Important, as I say in my New Yorkies.
Us Jersey people, we don't listen to warnings. We just, keep doing our thing.
Oh, we can relate down here in Florida because we get hurricane warnings and nobody does a thing.
It's true.
But glad, Frank, you guys said, Jen, well, she's got no electricity, which is like the worst. But glad you guys are okay.
Especially in the summer.
I'm glad this storm bypass Florida because you guys needed a break.
Well, we'll take any little thing we can get at this point, I guess. But yeah, you're right.
Florida did not need a reason to shelter in place. Not at all.
Well, actually, it would have been nice if people were encouraged to do so by the storm, but no, that didn't happen. It swung way out. We got 30 minutes of rain on Sunday. That was about it. So we can't complain.
That's less than the normal hour-long thunderstorm you guys usually get.
You're absolutely right. It rained less than a typical like Thursday afternoon or summer afternoon thunderstorm is what I was trying to say. So,
and one more thing I wanted to say, and then I'll hang up because I don't want to keep this. I'm glad you got the chicken nuggets at Cosmic Rays.
Yeah.
Nuggets, even though we didn't like them.
They were just fine. It's not that we didn't like them. They were just fine, I think. I wanted them to be better. But you know what? The thing is, everything we had at Cosmic Rays on Saturday was not great. I think I don't know. Something was going on.
Lewis asked you earlier if the tables they were using all the tables, or do you think there was less tables in Cosmic Rays?
Well, they definitely have tables blocked off so that people aren't sitting. They didn't remove tables, but they have the signs on them that say "Don't sit here." But even so, there was a lot of seating inside and out, and it was hard to find some. So, but it was busy. I'm just saying, it was busy. Like we ordered. Of course, you have to do the mobile order before you go in the quick service. We ordered our food. It took like 20 minutes before we got the notification that it was ready, which is kind of long. So anyway.
All right, Adam, thanks for calling. I'm glad to see this is also why we need like Jen here, is to remind us that we're still waiting for you. So we would have like bailed and totally have forgotten to pick up the call.
Well, thank you for answering, guys.
Of course.
No, it's all good. Until next week, let us know how your stickers went.
I will let everybody know.
All right. Have a good night, Adam.
Later, Adam.
This is kind of a silly plug because it's not like this channel needs a plug or anything, but there was a really cool video. I don't care how you feel about the trackers, the Tim tracker, Jen tracker, whatever. They posted a video last week where Tim was in the Magic Kingdom when a thunderstorm came through, and he actually captured lightning hitting the castle.
Oh,
and that's pretty cool. So if you typically don't watch the Tim tracker, that's fine. I don't care what your opinion is. But check out the video because the lightning hitting Cinderella's castle was very cool. And I don't know why they get hate like they do anyway, but whatever. I hope someday that we're popular enough in the Disney community to get that kind of hate, Frank. That's what I hope for us.
It's a conversation I often have. I don't want keeping my expectations low because I don't want to hear the criticism. You want to plug first? Who's plugging first? You.
Sure. I can do it, and then you can wrap us up. So if you would like to hear the Monday Morning Monorail Podcast, it's available. Oh, look at this. What's going on with my hair today?
That's what's going on.
Every Monday morning on all of your favorite podcatchers, which I didn't realize was a phrase, but I've heard people saying it. I just like to say your local pod distributors. And we also have all kinds of social media. Twitter, we're at Morning Monorail. We're on Facebook. Join that Monday Morning Monorail family. Hang out with us. Talk with us through the week. We have a great time. We've got in both places, we've got the little legends menu, the board, so you can go and pick out what your legends are. We'll have to do that next week with Frank and Jen. And then we've got a YouTube page. Go to our website for all the links and to our TeePublic to get you don't see Jen with the mug tonight, so you don't see the logo, but TeePublic store link is on our Monday Morning Monorail podcast.com. Jen always shows, she does a great job demonstrating the logo. It's very good. And yes, Steffers is part of the family now. Yeah. So she is cool. Officially she's cool. But yeah, thanks guys. Hope to see you all over the place.
Yeah, cool. So Dillo's Diz, at Dillo's Diz, Dillo's with an S, Diz with a Z, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, unless it gets banned. Facebook, you can give us a like. Also, we have a Facebook group for the Forever 44 Fedora Club, which next Thursday, 1 week from Thursday, we will have our third meeting where we'll be discussing the Rocketeer at length. So find us at the Forever 44 Fedora Club Facebook group. But yeah, at Dillo's Diz on the handles. The Parks and Monorail's most magical hour here every week now with our own virtual run team. So if you're interested in joining the virtual run team, hit us up with a DM on Instagram or Twitter or one of the other. And then, of course, this Thursday, Theme Park Thursday with Dillo's Diz, it's me, it's Justin Monorail, interviewing Craig Shemin all about all things Muppets. A lot of Muppets. Get excited for that. We were super excited the whole time. You'll hear it in our voices for sure. But thanks again, as Justin said, for joining us, participating with, commenting, calling, all the things. Hit the like button on the YouTube video here as you go out the door. More people can catch their eye to it with the more likes there are. But thank you so much. We'll do it again next Tuesday night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Deuces.
There you go.